Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Build Your Best Life. We're here today with Let's Talk About It for Thursday. So you know I got my girl Tonya on here. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So glad to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, today, everyone, is Forgiveness Day. And I know there's going to be some people to say, it's not Forgiveness Day. You know, we have Global Forgiveness Day and National Forgiveness Day, but we have those as well. I think Global Forgiveness Day is July 7th, and National Forgiveness Day is September the 27th, but today is Forgiveness Day. And, you know, forgiveness is like a cleansing for your soul. It provides that inner peace. Sometimes we walk around and we wonder, why do I feel so weighed down? And it's because we're holding something inside that's hurting us, conflicting us. Sometimes we even need to forgive ourselves, but we really need to let it go. Luke 6, chapter 6, verse 37 reminds us of forgiveness. It says, do not judge others and God will not judge you. Do not condemn others and God will not condemn you. Forgive others and God will forgive you. So if someone has offended you or hurt you in any way and you are holding on to that hurt, consider these 4 things. Perhaps they aren't even aware that they offended you. Number 2, you actually misunderstood. 3, they are curious why you have changed, but they just moved on. They didn't know what happened, why you stopped calling or anything like that, but they just moved on. They didn't ask. And then 4th, you are the only one that are hurting because they have gone on. What do you think, Tonya?
No, that's absolutely true. When things are left unspoken or unsaid and left to fester, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that your interpretation is the correct one. Whether you're the person who was offended or the person who unknowingly maybe gave offense. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So again, today we are going to talk about, excuse me, forgiveness. So as we are talking about some things that impact, that forgiving, not forgiving impacts, you know, think about reaching out to someone or putting a comment in the comment section or asking us a question as we go along this segment today. But I think that this is something that's worthwhile because I know that many people are holding on to things that they've been upset so long they don't even know why they were upset. But now they know, well, no, I've been mad. I haven't been speaking to them for 25 years. I don't know what happened, but I guess it was worth not speaking to them. So, you know, they just keep going. So we hope that we can help you today.
So this is a very powerful and necessary conversation. This is unforgiveness, and I wanted to start out with the words of the very wise Dr. Martin Luther King. where he says, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And so this essentially goes to the core of what we're talking about, unforgiveness and what I believe the bitterness that it can cause in any relationship, whether it's with someone else, whether it's within yourself, just that whole element. So let's start with the first impact, which is your self-esteem. Oftentimes, our self-esteem, especially initially, is built off of the perception of others before we get a chance to build it upon ourselves. And when we hear someone who has maybe said something hurtful to us, or something toxic, or something unintentionally hurtful, oftentimes we take that information and we internalize it. And that internalization becomes kind of like that um, subconscious voice playing in our head, whether it's taking an offense and now you pin this emotion on another person, or you've literally taken the label that they've given you, that they offended you with, and called it your own. So when that happens, we are in a state of unforgiveness, and that in turn affects our self-esteem and how we see each other and how we interact towards others. If someone, let's say, labels you, I don't know, unkind, and that's a very soft-based thing, but if someone labels you unkind, that's going to affect your self-esteem. If you are offended by that and you internalize that, you're going to see yourself as an unkind person. You're going to approach the world as if the world sees you unkind. So it changes your perspective of who you are. It's also, let's say you were auditioning for something. I work in the dance world. And let's say you're auditioning for something, and the coach or the director doesn't give you a callback or doesn't say you are appropriate for the team. So, what does that reflect into your mind? I'm not enough. And you've taken offense and you now have an unforgiving type of mindset towards the director because they essentially maybe have said something against you that you don't agree with. So I know that's very kind of remedial. However, I do want to circle back and see how that plays into your head. It kind of makes you feel like a victim mentality. Um, you begin to, like I said, internalize what other people have said and call this your identity. So you may begin to think like this is me, this is who I am, um, and then you begin to see the world as if they owe you something. So what I um, kind of see flip side of that is when you offer forgiveness, you no longer take on those toxic thoughts, those toxic feelings, that toxic identity, and you no longer call it your own. And it's okay if someone, intentionally or unintentionally may have offended you, but you're no longer holding onto it as if it's yours, and you're forgiving them for what they've done. You're giving them, even if it's a second chance, you're allowing them that opportunity. But the point is, you're allowing yourself the freedom to release it and then have a new way to speak to yourself, a new way to love on yourself. And ultimately, that does affect your self esteem and how you see the world and how you approach the world. So that's kind of how I see how that impacts your self esteem when you have unforgiveness.
Yeah, that's so true. So that is a good one. And again, if you know you're holding on to something or you think this is good for someone, please, please, please share as we move forward to the second impact of unforgiveness. And that is reduce it. When you forgive someone, it actually reduces stress. I have a short quote. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. And that's from Mahatma Gandhi. But, forgiveness helps us to reduce stress in several powerful and scientifically supported ways. So, scientists have done the research and found these things to be true. First off, it releases um, it releases emotional burdens. So again, certain things or a person's name may set you off, get you all upset. And if you would just take the time to recognize, you know what, every time I hear their name, I just get angry all over again. I just get hurt all over again. Pick up the phone and have that conversation. If it doesn't settle anything, at least you have closure that, if I offended you, please forgive me. And then you can go on with that. Another one, it reduces anxiety and depression. You sit around and, I thought that that was my friend to the end. And the only thing I said was her dress was a little too tight. And we haven't talked since. Now just think about it. Now, if y'all were friends for all these years and you did what a friend should do, and told them that their dress was a little too tight. Hopefully, you didn't do it in front of anyone else. You kind of pulled them to the side and told them that should have been something that they wanted to hear. But perhaps that was the only thing that they had, or something of that nature, and it really hurt their feelings. So, if that was really your friend and you noticed that that was what caused the tension, call them up and say, I didn't mean to offend you, but because we are so close, we are friends, I thought you would want to know, but please forgive me. And they could be sitting just simply depressed because you hurt them so badly. They didn't have anything else to wear. And even though y'all are close, they may be having some financial struggles that you didn't know about, and that was a color that they had to wear to this particular event, and then you called out what they already knew. So it doesn't take much to say, if I offended you, I apologize. As simple as that. But it can also lower physical stress responses. Certain things will just trigger you. You just go off and people are like, well, what just happened? I didn't say anything, because your brain, you know, it it has these chemicals, and certain words or certain things can trigger you, Agnes, Dan, and it puts you into that fight or flight mode. And so, it's as simple as, like I say, picking up the phone, and picking up the phone is best. But if you feel so strongly, use a text or email, that'll work as well. But I think it's worth a phone call. It make saying forgive me can actually get you back on track with your sleeping. You have been having sleepless nights, just tossing and turning. You don't know why. It's because you are holding that hurt in your heart. You may have done something that you know was wrong, and you never approached that person and told them you were sorry. But every time you think about certain things, you miss them, and it's just really, really hurting you. And sometimes you just can't sleep. It's their birthday, and you just wish you could pick up the phone and say happy birthday. And guess what? You may be shocked. You could pick up the phone and say, hey, I was looking at my calendar and I said, wow, it is Tonya's birthday. And I decided I was going to pick up the phone and give you a call. How have you been? And that may be all it takes. Don't have to say, I'm sorry, what happened in the past years. Y'all just go from that point. So think about yourself and unforgiveness and what it can do.
I love how segue into or allowed it from both perspectives, where it was the person who may not have known they offended them by saying sorry, and the person who caused the offense, even if it was unintentional, um, coming to make sure. So I love both of those perspectives. And that kind of segues into the third impact, which is healthy relationships. And I do have a quote as well for that. And this is by Lewis Smead. And it says to forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. And I love that because oftentimes, as you alluded to at the very beginning, not everyone knows, or that person who offends you may know that they actually did offend you, or it was unintentional. Or think about the example that you used with the friend in the dress. The friend was being sincere and trying to help the friend, but ultimately did offend, and you know the other one didn't know that that caused it. And so when we have unforgiveness, there is a breakdown in relationships. Um, it's because it's probably full of either misinformation or incorrect assumptions, or even if they are the right information and knowledge, it's full of unspoken truth or unspoken love towards others. And when you learn how to forgive someone for what has caused you maybe pain or what has caused you some type of offense, as the quote says, you're really setting yourself free. You're no longer hanging on to those negative feelings. And that does allow you to have healthier relationships. It allows you to have open conversations, as you once again alluded to in your example of a friend. Had they allowed that to continue um, and didn't allow that vulnerability between another just by saying I'm sorry or just by reaching out, that would have been a loss of a friendship, and unnecessarily. So allowing yourself that ability to forgive sets you free from any expectations. It sets you free to be vulnerable to people, which is ultimately necessary for any healthy relationship, for any um, depth in your relationship, because you want to be able to freely express and acknowledge who you are as a person, and in return receive that. And if there's any unforgiveness, there's going to be hardened hearts, there's going to be death, there's going to be a lot of chaos. So that back and forth and vulnerability is not going to be available to that relationship. So definitely thinking that. Um, I think one of the things too that's really important, and I dealt with this myself, and probably still in other areas that I believe the Lord will reveal in terms of forgiveness. But unforgiveness allows you to walk around with pain, and a lot of times when we have pain, we project that onto those that are around us. So someone may have complete honesty, complete, genuine interaction with you, but you're approaching the world with pain from whatever reason, whether it's the pain from growing up or whether it's the pain from a relationship. When you harbor that and you internalize that, that becomes the way you view the world, and that becomes the way you see people. Um, so I think when we don't allow ourselves to forgive, then we become the very thing that we're offended by. So that
Okay,
just,
Tonya.
yeah.
Yeah, I had someone. Well, I thought I was the only one, but I had someone just text me. Your voice is still going in and out. So can you check your volume?
Sure. I have not done any. Did that help? I'm not sure.
Well, I can hear you good now.
Okay. Okay. So essentially, I was just saying that the forgiveness piece just allows you to hold on and be and kind of see the world from a painful point of view, which interrupts and disrupts any type of healthy relationships or opportunity for healthy relationships that might be available to you, because you're not approaching it from that vulnerability standpoint and knowing that someone's okay and that you're okay to be vulnerable with.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Kamara. All
Thank you.
right. And we have one more topic that we're going to talk about that you can really help yourself if you will take the time to seek forgiveness or have a conversation. And that is improve communication. Improve communication. And our last quote it's not an easy journey to get to a place where you forgive people, but it is such a powerful place because it frees you. And that's from Tyler Perry. But, think about it, improve communication, because sometimes that person that you need to forgive, who needs to forgive you, it's not like you are living separate in separate spaces. It may be someone that you work with, it may be a spouse, a sibling, a parent, a neighbor. So it's someone that you probably have to interact with. And so, in doing so, when you have to have those conversations, are you rude? Are you sarcastic? Or are they rude or sarcastic when it comes to talking with you? That doesn't make for healthy relationships. That doesn't make for healthy surroundings, because the other people around you probably thinking, what is the problem? Why are they always so short or being smart when they say something? And it can damage you. It can damage you in the workplace. You can be a good worker and always on top of everything, go above and beyond, but you wonder why you're just stuck. But you have that coworker and y'all had a little disagreement. I'm not saying which of you were right and which was wrong, because both of you could have been wrong. But rather than trying to sit down and say, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I don't think you're going anywhere. We need to work together. So let's find out what our differences are, why we have such hard time. Maybe we are so much alike that we just bump heads. Let's just talk about it. Because sometimes you can have conversations with people and you end up being the best of friends. I know my very best friend, we've been friends for, oh my goodness, probably 50, 55 years or more. But my first encounter with her was because my department had posted a job, and she asked my boss, and this was back, before uh, what was it? We had a lot of diversity or whatever, and people were trying to keep minorities out of their areas or whatever. So I was in a department and I was the only minority. And so she asked my boss, "Are y'all gonna give people a fair chance, or are you just gonna hire that little black girl? y'all gonna promote that little black girl that y'all got in your department?" Which that could have been like, and my boss told me about it. So but that could have ended up being like, because she did get a position in the department, but can you imagine how that could have turned out? We could have just been at bumping heads, or I could have been telling people things about her or saying she wasn't nice or whatever, but we got to be the best of friends. Actually, she's my youngest son's godmother. So you just have to sit down and talk to people and not always I guess let your ego get in the way. But when you speak up and say, hey, I don't know what the issue is, but can we talk about it? It can help you with future communications. It can help you on your job. It can help your uh, marital relationship or your relationship with your significant other or friend or whatever. So that forgiveness, that's a lot. That's it's a really, really big deal. Jesus talks about forgiveness a lot, and if you are too big to forgive someone, you're always going to struggle in life. Those sleepless nights, those headaches, you don't know why you're having a headache, snapping at people for no reason. Some of that comes from the unforgiveness that you're holding in your heart. So it'll be a good idea to think about it. Pick up that phone, say, hey, how you doing? Don't even have to bring it up like I said before.
We're not meant to hold on. We're not built for that.
Yep. All right. So as we were talking, did you think of anything else that you thought that relates to forgiveness that you want to share, Tonya?
I just think remembering that Forgiveness, at least for me, is literally just giving it over, no longer holding it on, to yourself and owning it. And then, as the quote like by Lewis Mead said, just literally allowing yourself to be free and setting the prisoner free, which is you. It doesn't have to take a lot of effort. And just because you forgive, especially if there's a hard offense wrapped up in there, doesn't mean necessarily that you don't have to learn the lesson that was attached to it. But just forgiveness and setting yourself free in the process is necessary to be exactly what you said, free of stress, living your best life, um, building your best life. It's just something that's necessary.
Right. So thank you so much for sharing. Uh, I won't go into it. I'll just give y'all a kind of like a highlight. And if you would like for me to share it, I can share it with you individually. Um, just email me. But I also, as I was researching about forgiveness, I got a practical exercise that you can use. So I'm just going to give you the highlights, and we're not going to do the exercise. But if you would like a copy of this, so maybe that you can do it, or you can do it at a team building or something of that nature. But you can do this alone or in a group. And it says you release and renew. And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And the purpose is to help participants identify unsolved hurts and take the first step toward emotional release through forgiveness. So the first thing you do is center yourself, and you do that about 1 to 2 minutes. And what I have will tell you how to do that. Then you identify the weight, what's weighing you down, what's that hurt, what's that disappointment. You spend 2 to 3 minutes on that. Step 3 is you choose to let go, because you can hold on to it if you want to, but you have to choose to let go. So they have some words that you can say repeatedly, and that part takes 3 to 5 minutes. Step 4 is reclaim your power. Like I said, sometimes we don't forgive ourselves and others, and it can just weigh us down, but you can reclaim your power. And that part takes 2 to 3 minutes. And that's it. And I think it's good. And I think the next time we have a team building, or we do in my Bible study group, we do it virtually, but every quarter we get together and have a meal together. And I think this is a good exercise to do, because you never know when someone is, going through some unforgiveness about something. So again, I have my email address, Shobing, and if you would like a copy of this exercise, just let me know and I will send it to you. But again, I thank you also very much for tuning in today. And I know forgiveness, I think, is a big thing. So I hope that you enjoyed our topic today. We will be back Tuesday, and you believe it's going to be July. July 1st is next Tuesday. So our blueprint for success, we're going to have Brady Robinson back on. And I know that you are all familiar with Brady, and she normally brings those financial tidbits on, but we're going to switch it up a little bit next week. And our topic is mothers raising sons. So she is successfully working hard to raise her son. And so that's what we're going to talk about next week. So please join us Tuesday, July 1st at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, thank you all so very, very much for tuning in. We appreciate you taking that time, because you could have been doing anything else or been anywhere else, but you decided to join us here at Build Your Best Life. We appreciate everything that you do. We love you. We love your prayers and everything else. So thank you. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And Tonya, I look forward to seeing you again next Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan. It's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.